You are live. It is June 9th, 2026. Live your life. Knicks lost 2-1, 2-1 in the series. Knicks in four, Knicks in four, Knicks in four. I'm a New Yorker, okay? I want the Knicks to win. But how can you expect them to win in 4 games? It just doesn't happen. If you are a basketball fan, if you are a baseball fan, maybe I just watched too much baseball. You know how hard it is to sweep a team? I think the Knicks are the superior team here, but man, there's so much talent on the Spurs. I was actually betting. Gambling is really stupid, okay? The house always wins. But I was actually betting on the Spurs the entire playoff. I mean, they're a great team. So that's why when this series started, I said, hell yeah, the Knicks are going to win, but they're going to win in 7. And for everybody out there, see the problem with Knicks fans, right? And I'm not trying to knock Knicks fans, but the problem with Knicks fans is they always say Knicks in 4. It's a joke at this point. It's like, no, the team is not winning in 4 games. It's too hard. If you play somebody over and over and over again, they understand your inclinations, they understand your tendencies, they understand when you want to go left, when you want to go right. They know your plays. It's so difficult, especially when a team has their backs against the wall. That's why the closeout game is the toughest. Knicks in 4, Knicks in 4. It was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. I also didn't think it was going to happen with the Cavs series or the Sixers series. And by the way, they almost lost game 1 in both of those series. Knicks in 4, my ass. Knicks will win the series. The Knicks better win this championship. I mean, if they don't win this championship, who knows if they'll ever get a chance again? It would be a travesty if for sports at least, right? We're not in Gaza over here. But if the Knicks don't win this championship, I just don't even know. And then the other thing is like, if you're a gambler, right? Like if you're a sports bettor, which again is stupid. Sports betting is stupid. I do partake sometimes. But I've calmed down over the years. But if you're a gambler, like you already know Illuminati, the NBA wants to make money. You know that when one team is down, even in the game, they tend to be, a little softer with calls for the other team, meaning they give more foul calls to the other team, right? Calls tend to go the other way. They try to balance things out. Adam Silver, the NBA's commissioner, he's always asking for parity. Do you know how much money the NBA is going to make if this goes to game 7 versus game 4? And you guys are like, Knicks in 4, Knicks in 4. It was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. So I just want to put that aside. All right. It was a tough game. You look at the stats, the stat line doesn't always tell you the story, but you look at the stats. I mean, Mikal Bridges had 2 points. I love Mikal Bridges. We all do. Mikal Bridges had 2 points. The guy took 5 shots, 1 for 5 from the field. He's got to get the ball more. They got to make him work. Let him get the ball in the post. Let him get the ball, a little deep in the paint. Just get him at his angles on the block and just let him cook. Anunoby had a great game. If he didn't have a good game, it would have been the same thing. You got to let Anunoby cook. And then the same thing with Towns, right? I don't think it's anyone's fault. You just got to get the ball to them more. I heard Stephen A. Smith say that Jalen Brunson took too many shots, 25 shots. Shut up. You don't blame Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is the man. He's the MVP for a reason. You don't blame Jalen Brunson. The bench coming off, like I think a poor second quarter. Oh, sorry. The bench when Alvarado came in, along with McBride, Shamet, Robinson. Oh man, they just kept the Knicks in the game. They just kept cutting the lead, and it could have went either way, y'all. This is why I'm saying when everybody says Knicks in 4, it's just so ridiculous. Again, it's just a joke here in New York at this point. But it's like when you say Knicks in 4, the Spurs could have won game 1. What were they up? 13 points, 14 points? The Spurs could have won game 2. They were up 10 points. And if they would have won the first 2 games at home, first of all, you wouldn't be saying Knicks in 4. Second, you would still feel confident in the Knicks because the Knicks are a great team. They are just an amazing team. It is so nice to actually like have everyone out in New York, the whole city orange and blue. I mean, just everything. The skyline lit up. Everybody has their jerseys on. The bars are just filled. Everybody is cheering. Everybody's rooting for the same thing. The city's electric right now, and it's really cool to see. But that's exactly why then it just couldn't go 4 games. It's just not going to go 4 games. And that doesn't mean shit that they lost game 3. Doesn't mean shit. I mean, they could easily win this in 5 games, 6 games. But again, all things point to 7 games. The Spurs are a good team. B, it's difficult to sweep a team. C, you know that the NBA wants to make as much money as they possibly can from this. You know how much New York City's going to benefit from this? Do you know how many people are going out to watch this game? Like the ratings are through the roof for this finals matchup. I mean, you got every storyline out there. It's the New York Knicks. It's the San Antonio Spurs. They have a dynasty, right? They have the arguably, one of the best players in the world in Wembanyama. This is a rematch from 1999. First time that the Knicks go back since 1999. It would be the first championship for the Knicks, right? The storyline since 1973. There's so many storylines as to why they're going to make money from this. How on earth would you expect that this is going to go 4 games? Even if you think that the Knicks are a dominant team, you got to think. You got to think with your head. This was never going to go 4 games. Again, I said Knicks in 7, and it's not because of this or that. It's just Knicks in 7. Again, they could have lost the first 2 games. They could lose game 4. I don't give a shit. The Knicks are still going to win the series. But yeah, you want to look at the stat line. I mean, Josh Hart had a great game, great first quarter. I mean, they were just great. All right, their defense was great. It was just, I think if Mikal Bridges gets a couple more looks, right? Maybe he takes a couple of those possessions from Brunson. Maybe he takes a couple possessions. You take a couple possessions from Brunson and you give it to Towns. The Knicks could have easily won this game. Then it would have been Knicks in 4. But anyway, it doesn't even matter, man. Most above all, I definitely think the Knicks are winning the series. But above all, it's just so good. Like you got to understand from the New York perspective, we don't get this shit. I'm a Knicks, Mets, Rangers, Jets fan. Like, what the fuck? I've never seen a championship in my lifetime. We don't get this. Like, I almost don't even know how to like understand what's going on here. Cause I'm like, wow, the Knicks are actually in the finals. Like one of my best friends, I was with him last night and he's like, dude, this is surreal. I was like, yeah, that's the word. That's the word to use because none of us understand this shit. This shit is so new to us. We don't get to root for teams in New York. The Mets are always fucking failing us. The Yankees, I mean, you get to root for them, in the playoffs. The Yankees usually have success. The Giants, they won, a couple championships. You had those chances. The Jets are abysmal. Rangers have come close a couple times, but I'm just saying, like, we just haven't had many opportunities. So, it's just interesting to see just the city coming together. And again, there's going to be a huge economic lift. I mean, literally everyone is going out. Everyone is buying drinks. Everybody is buying food, right? So it just shows you like when the city's on fire, right? It pays for sports teams to be successful because people will come out, people will watch the games, right? There's definitely an economic uplift that you can expect. And that's part of the whole story as well. So, all right, let's get into this other story. Super interesting. I mean, so let me throw this up on the banner because we gotta, let's do this real quick. And I'll play some music. You know what I'm saying? This music's a little sad though, but it's not really. All right, we'll get a little. All right. So let's talk about this story because you can't really shy away from shit like this because if you saw The Wolf of Wall Street, then you know that There are pump and dump schemes. What do you think happened here? The Trump family got about $500 million from a crypto venture, but investors saw steep losses. That is the headline. Now let's go into it. Company disclosures show the Trump family was entitled to roughly $500 million from a 2025 crypto transaction between World Liberty Financial and the publicly traded company, then called Alt 5 Sigma. Okay, all right. So there was a stock sale, and there's a pretty little graphic that we're going to look at right here. But there was a stock sale in August 11, 2025. If you're looking at this graphic here, right? That stock sale is worth $500 million. Actually, it was worth $1.5 billion. So hedge funds, including Point72, Exodus Point, Soul Ventures, along with other investors, they purchased $750 million in stock from Alt 5 Sigma. Alt 5 Sigma buys another $750 million in World Liberty Financial tokens. And Trump-tied World Liberty Financial owes approximately $500 million, about 75% of the proceeds, to members of the Trump family. And then the Trump brothers ring the NASDAQ bell to celebrate the deal. Now, what you got to look at here is the stock price. Because after the sale happens, which is in August 2025, the stock plummets. In May 2026, so the stock plummets from $8, it falls 93% to about $1, less than $1. And then in May of 2026, Alt 5 Sigma tells investors it may not continue as a going concern. And that is the accounting language for, hey, we may not be solvent in the near future. So what exactly happened here, right? Alt 5 Sigma stock falls more than 90%. This is after they make the stock sales, and the Trump family is entitled to $500 million for this crypto transaction. Now, this may, I can't come right out and condemn them and say, oh yeah, this was a pump and dump scheme. But yeah, it has a lot of pump and dump DNA. It's not proven, but as a structure, it absolutely resembles pump, cash out, and leave outside investors holding the risk setup. Again, I'll take you back to Wolf of Wall Street. What happened in Wolf of Wall Street? They were telling people, yeah, buy Steve Madden stock, buy Steve Madden, buy whatever stock, right? Oh yeah, this new biotech stock, it's going to go through the roof. 50 Cent did this. 50 Cent from Queens, he did this. And I'm like, that's why sometimes, I don't hate 50 Cent, but he defrauded investors. He told people it's when people use their platform or they manipulate others to say, hey, you should buy the stock. You should buy the stock because they already have money in that stock. The stock is 50 cents. The stock goes to $1. And while there's a bunch of hype around it, people start selling. Pump and dump. It's a basic pump and dump scheme. How is that? How is this not? You have insiders or promoters creating hype. And guess what? This was, who owns Point72 Capital, right? That's Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets. There were a lot of big name players involved here. They drove up demand and then they sold into that demand. And now the late buyers eat the collapse. Remember, the stock market is a zero-sum game. And the only way that stocks go up and down, right? We have to look at the mechanics here. I always like reminding people of this because we tend to get lost in the noise. Oh, the stock market's going down because, oil's going up, or stock market's going down because bonds are going up, interest rates are going up. It doesn't work like that. The stock market only goes up or down because people are buying and selling. That's it. That's how easy it is. Now, in the stock market, you have a zero-sum game, meaning that there must be a buyer and there must be a loser. I don't understand. They literally pumped up this stock saying that there was going to be a World Liberty Financial token sale, $500 million. goes to the Trump family, and then the stock plummets 90%. I don't understand how that's not pumping up. World Liberty Financial sold WLFI tokens. Again, I mean, why is the president and his sons doing this? Again, I ask this question over and over again. Why would you want your president making these multi-billion-dollar transactions? Is that not a conflict of interest? And by the way, this didn't only happen with crypto. This happened with plenty of other stocks. The president in Q1 alone of 2026, President Trump disclosed over 3,700 financial trades. Are we kidding me? On everything from Nvidia to Microsoft to Intel, the companies that he's constantly speaking and taking these CEOs overseas to China and wherever, he has them on speed dial. And he's making trades. Me personally, as a stock investor, right? I'm 36. I've been trading since I was 17 years old. That doesn't give me confidence in the stock market. The fact that the president is actively trading, what does this look like to you? And do you think that the Trump family gives a shit where Alt 5 Sigma goes? No, somebody got left holding the bag. I'm just pointing out the obvious here. Alt 5 Sigma, now called AI Financial Corp, because everything's AI related today, and then you just get a boost in your stock price. They raised money and used the proceeds to buy WLFI tokens. So they raised money from these hedge funds, and then they bought the Trump family's tokens. Okay, all right. So far, I don't see any conflict of interest, just a bunch of billionaires, and then the Trump family buying the Trump family's business tokens. Okay, no conflict of interest whatsoever, right? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? Trump's not doing anything illegal. Oh, what is it illegal for him to profit while he's president? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. If you were president, do you think this is ethical? I'm not asking you to, do some fucking algebraic equation. This isn't, advanced calculus. Do the math. There is no reason why our leaders should be trading stocks. There's no reason why they should be involved in something like this. This is reprehensible. Are they not taking advantage of their positional power? They absolutely are. The fuck is World Liberty Financial token? SEC filings show that Alt5 announced a $1.5 billion offering to build a WLFI treasury. So this random Alt 5 Sigma company says, hey, we're going to build a treasury of tokens for our company. And we could buy any cryptocurrency, but we're going to buy World Liberty Financial tokens because, I don't know, maybe we want to be in good standing with the president, right? All right, so then we're going to raise this $1.5 billion, right? And who are we going to get that $1.5 billion from? We're going to get it from a bunch of hedge funds. Why not? Right? And these hedge funds happen to be from just multi-billion dollar companies, Point72, Exodus Point, Soul Ventures, big name players. The Witkoffs are involved. The Witkoffs, right? You can't even write this. Zach Witkoff, son of President Donald Trump's Middle East negotiator, Stephen Witkoff, is right in the middle of the deal. He's on the board of World Liberty Financial. How is this not just rank with corruption? And of course you should be concerned because this just undermines everything in the stock market. How can you have any confidence as to what you're buying? And by the way, if you followed the stock market for long enough, you know that, damn, there is so much corruption. I used to be a currency trader, right? For like I don't know, 13 years or so, I made, and I don't want to just throw numbers out there, but I want you to know, like, I was really steeped into this, right? I made 200,000, lost 500. I made 400. I made 700. I lost 300. I lost 400. All in all, I lost like $1 million, a little over $1 million. That's what ended up happening with my currency trading. Terrible. I wish I still had that money, and I wish I just invested it in the S&P 500 indexes. I probably would have been fine. Guess what happened during my career? I saw it all. I saw it all. One of the most notable or just like, mindful events that occurred where there was a bunch of whales, a bunch of, big time banks, a bunch of people in power that were manipulating LIBOR rates. You guys know what LIBOR is, right? That's the London Interbank Offering Rate, which is a globally recognized benchmark interest rate that major banks use to charge each other for short-term loans. So if, it's just a benchmark interest rate. But LIBOR actually affects all of our interest rates. It affects currencies. It affects everything because it's that benchmark rate. So that's what people peg their interest rates off of. So if somebody's offering you an 8% mortgage rate and LIBOR is currently being quoted at 5%, then the bank is probably saying something like, all right, well, LIBOR is 5%, so I can borrow the money at 5% from another bank, right? That's what your bank that's going to lend you the money is considering. And then they say, all right, well, I'm going to charge the mortgagee, right? The person that's going to take on the mortgage, I'm going to charge them an additional 3%. So your rate is going to be 8% because my LIBOR rate is 5%. There was a huge scandal. I can't remember what year it was. It was over 10 years ago. Huge scandal where these guys were literally messaging each other on some internal messaging system. And they're sitting there and they're literally telling each other like, yeah, let's set the rate at, at this number. So there was just collusion. And I'm looking at this as an investor and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, it's crazy to see this type of corruption at the highest level. And guess what happened to these people? The only reason why you know about the story is because it made headlines. It got swept under the rug. I'm sure, I think a couple people got, reprimanded, maybe some fines, maybe someone got a short sentencing. Nobody gives a shit. Unfortunately, nobody really gives a shit about financial crimes. The one that got hit the hardest was Bernie Madoff, and nobody gave a shit about him either. Madoff, they're calling Madoff a con artist. This shit happens all day, every day. Our financial markets are rank with corruption. That's why we need the SEC. You need the SEC to investigate, because if you have people front running trades, if you have people with insider information and utilizing it to profit for themselves, that's a huge conflict of interest. When we look at the price of oil, when we look at the price of any one stock, we should look at that and say, okay, that has all of the information that all market participants fully understand to be known, to be public. All of that is baked into the price. When you have transactions like this occurring, this World Liberty Financial, right? In July 15th, on July 15th of 2024, they begin operating as a crypto firm. They launched a partnership. The stock is already climbing at this point. Why is it climbing? Maybe there's some insider information, in all likelihood. Then they launched a partnership. After they launched a partnership with World Liberty Financial Token, who knows for what reason, it's not disclosed to us why they happen to choose World Liberty Financial. But after they announce it, the stock drops. Right here at this point, I'm trying to circle it with my cursor here. At this point, this is where people get left holding the bag. Stock price is roughly $8, $9. Now it drops to $1. Whoever was in the stock during that period of time, which looks to be from, I would say, August to literally, September. Yeah, August to about October. They lost 90% of their money. That's pump and dump. I mean, in that short amount of time, there's no other way to explain it to me. So they announced this $1.5 billion offering to build the WLFI treasury, with Alt 5 Sigma holding about 7.5% of WLFI supply, and with Zach Witkoff becoming chairman and Eric Trump joining the board. The SEC prospectus said that most net proceeds from the registered offering would fund the acquisition of WLFI tokens and crypto treasury operations, while World Liberty contributed $750 million of WLFI tokens in exchange for Alt 5 shares and warrants. So here's the red flag. A public company became a vehicle to buy a Trump family linked token. And that purchase created huge liquidity for the token issuer. Reuters reported that Alt 5 spent about $717 million on World Liberty tokens, and more than $500 million of that went to the Trump family based on their revenue sharing agreement. Reuters also reported that Alt 5 stock fell from about $9 in August 2025 to about 75 cents in April 2026, producing about $675 million in investor losses. What do you want to call this? Pump and dump or pump and extract? Because you could tell me that a company like Kohl's or a company like Walmart or Target, let's say a company struggling, and over time their stock starts falling, like Radio Shack, or just some company that went under. Even if you want to bring up Enron with their corruption accounting scheme, whatever you want, you could clearly see that a company is just losing sales. Nike's not doing well right now, but there's a story behind that. There's a lot more competition in the marketplace, and their product offering has just not been as robust as prior years. I was an investor for many of those years, so I'm pretty involved in Nike. I'm constantly reviewing them. I'd love to jump back in, but you can tell a story there as to why the stock dropped. Foot Locker ultimately got bought up because Foot Locker, their stock plummeted. Why? Because you could look at their revenues. Their sales weren't there. You can tell that story. I think Foot Locker, Dick's Sporting Goods bought Foot Locker for $2.4 billion in 2025. But you can tell that story, right? They made that acquisition because Foot Locker just wasn't doing good and they wanted the assets that Foot Locker had. Okay, that's fine. What happened with Alt 5 Sigma? It was a public company, which was a penny stock. Penny stocks are already, your spidey senses should be going up, because there's just, penny stocks are just no good business. You're already in an arena that's just highly suspicious. You don't even want to deal with penny stocks. So that's the first red flag. In comes the Trump family and they say, hey, why don't we take this, public company? They could have did it with any public company, but we got the right people in place. Zach Witkoff, we got all these other hedge fund billionaires, including Steve Cohen. Hey, why don't we, build a treasury, because we're going to start doing crypto with this firm. Why don't we buy World Liberty financial tokens? And the purchases that we make, we're also going to just give $500 million to the Trump family because of a revenue sharing agreement. Okay, so no matter what, the Trump family is getting $500 million. So this all happens. Then when they announce the sale, everyone's like, oh shit, I got to get out. Everyone sells. But remember, this is a zero-sum game. So who got left? Who got left holding the bag? Somebody lost $675 million. Maybe it was anyone within Trump's orbit. There are a lot of Trump supporters out there that buy his coin, that buy stocks associated with him, that buy stocks or companies that he mentions while he's on official business. Somebody lost $675 million. Where did that money come from? It usually comes from retail investors. It usually comes from people that don't have or aren't privy to insider information. And this was pretty much insider information. You think they're just going to say, oh yeah, we're just going to give $500 million to these guys? That agreement was already signed. They already knew that. And then they make the announcement that the $500 million was going to go to the Trump family. And then the stock drops. The pump is the Trump name being listed on the NASDAQ, the political access, the crypto-friendly administration, the celebrity family promotion. This was a promise that this is some new bridge between crypto and traditional finance. That's how they sold it. The dump is not necessarily one guy secretly selling penny stocks into Reddit. This was more like insiders monetize token sales early, public investors absorb the volatility later, and the affiliated insiders have very little personal downside. Again, $675 million. Reuters' broader investigation reported that the Trump family has made about $2.3 billion from crypto ventures since mid-2024, while outside investors have suffered roughly comparable losses, including World Liberty, the Trump meme coin, Alt5 AIFC, and American Bitcoin. Do you want me to repeat that? This investigation is alleging that the Trump family has made more than $2.3 billion in crypto-related ventures since 2024 across these four names: World Liberty, Trump meme coin, Alt5, and American Bitcoin. America, 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 World Liberty, financial, Trump coin, America, 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 best coin in the world, America, patriotic crypto coin. And that outside investors have suffered roughly comparable losses, because if somebody's making 2.3 billion, somebody's definitely losing 2.3 billion. That's how it works. It's a zero-sum game. You don't have a problem with this? I do. Fuck this. This is terrible. This is a travesty. This isn't good for our financial markets. Guess who's happy? These fucking guys. Zach Witkoff. Eric Trump. Right? They're happy. Eric and Donald. Yeah? Eric and Donald Trump Jr. And so is Donald Trump himself, right? Alt5, World Liberty Financial Token. Hey, why don't we create this little company, buy all of our crypto coins with it? People will buy along, and then we'll just get the hell out before everyone else does. It's classic pump and dump. That's what our president is doing. I mean, seriously, y'all. Like, the information is out there. I need not lead you to the water here. I mean, to me, this is black and white. Now, the biggest problem, you know what the biggest issue now is? Is the SEC going to investigate? They have all of this information. Just like the FBI had all of the information in 1990 about Jeffrey Epstein. If we had a good president, if we had a fair and just president, maybe he would say, yeah, go investigate this. But of course he isn't, because he's involved in it. I mean, y'all, this is This is just sad. It's sad where we are because our president, I mean, he just wants to profit. He doesn't give a shit about us. If this is your number one priority, how on earth can you give a shit about us? Like you clearly have your eyes set on making as much money as you can while you're in office. You know how many deals there are like this? Multi-billion-dollar deals out there? The other question is this. First of all, money doesn't buy happiness. Second of all, like, these guys are already rich. Like, what does that say about this leadership, right? So they already have a ton of money. I'm trying to make the point here that it's like, what do you think about someone like that that's just that money hungry? And oh, by the way, they're also trying to lead our country. I'm not trying to steer your mind this way or that. I mean, this is audacious. Reuters also said World Liberty token sales alone may have produced more than $1.4 billion for the family. Where the hell do you think World Liberty financial tokens are gonna go? You know how dirty the crypto business is? Anyone can create a crypto coin, like a cryptocurrency. Anyone. You know how dirty that shit is? Of course Donald Trump is gonna get involved in this. He created a Trump coin. He created an American Bitcoin, World Liberty Financial. He created a Melania coin. You're like, what are we talking about here? And by the way, he created Trump and Melania coin, I'm almost positive, like right before his inauguration. It's amazing. Amazing. I mean, this guy is just make money at all costs. Now, here's another massive red flag: lockups. Because World Liberty investors are holding about 17 billion tokens and are not able to fully trade them until 2030. With World Liberty saying that the lockup was meant to support long-term participation and healthy token supply. Of course, they don't want you to sell. It's just like private equity investments. They tell you that you can't just withdraw your money whenever you want. They're highly illiquid. So that means when insiders or affiliated entities, like, they can extract cash while ordinary buyers are restricted. So how is the risk distributed evenly? Let me repeat that. So you're saying that anybody buying World Liberty financial coins, and actually Justin Sun, this famous investor from China, I believe from Hong Kong, he famously invested like $1 billion worth of World Liberty financial coin as well. That's a whole nother corruption aspect. But this is saying that the risk is not evenly distributed because the World Liberty financial holders cannot get in and out of the coin like the Trumps can, like the people on the board can. So the company can sell their tokens and profit and cash out when they want, but the normal ordinary investors have to wait until 2030. That's not a problem for you? This is just rank with corruption. All right, I got to end it there. Thanks for watching. I'll jump back on later today.